You know, the other day I must report I was forced to go to traffic court. Now, I had been there some years before in a futile attempt to even the score with a rotten cop who had the audacity to stop me in a rainstorm for a car check. In those days, they thought car checks was a way to stop crime. But that was the fourth time in so many nights, and after all, I mean, I did have my rights. I mean, I was 100 yards away from my house. Can you believe it? 100 yards away from my house. But unfortunately, that cop, man, he was a louse.
Listen, officer, let me try to explain.
He was wearing foul weather gear because of the rain.
First of all, I live right back there, and normally I wouldn't care, but I'm going to a friend's wedding. Hey, this is no bunk. Look, I'm wearing a tuxedo, but my cards are in my wallet, and my wallet's in the trunk.
And I think you're going to have to get out of the car.
Hey, it's raining. I'll get soaked. I think you're going a bit too far.
Listen, kid, don't you ever tell me how far I can go. Now, you get out of that car. Don't make it slow.
Well, you know me. And before the night was over, I called him a dirty, stinking, rotten grub, and he viciously threatened to hit me with his club. I mean, the guy was going to hit me with his club. Completely soaked, my night ruined. I had only one retort. I told him emphatically that I would see his butt in court because what he did to continue the fight was to give me a ticket for running a non-existent light. And man, I thought that was the ultimate blow, and willingly to court I would go to defend the rights of anyone on rainy nights who were forced to lose their self-respect by going through that kind of check. So, naturally, I waited for the summons, and when it came, I went to court, and I sat there in that seat for a couple of hours, anxious to report exactly what occurred. But then something happened that I thought quite absurd. When they called my name,
Fink, number 462.
And I stand up, who do you think I should see? But the cop who gave me the ticket, and he's looking right at me, and he waves his hand and smiles. He smiles viciously. Now, here's the thing I can't explain. Hey, maybe there was a malfunction of brain, but upon seeing this guy that I had found so vile, I don't know why, but, well, I smile. And that's when the judge went off the wall.
Young man, you do have gall.
Terror was disheveled, his eyes glazed and wild. He seemed physically shaken that I had smiled.
Son, if you continue to think this court funny, it will cost you, I promise, a lot more than money. Now tell me, officer, am I right? Or did this young comedian run a red light?
You're right, Your Honor. That's what he did. And believe me, Judge, I know this kind of kid.
Vivid was that cop's imagination, and using it, he created pure fabrication. I snorted out loud.
Ridiculous!
I cried.
Are you trying to say, young man, that this officer lied?
I won't say he lied, Your Honor. That'd be too uncouth. But in what he said, there's not one bit of truth.
Well, somebody's lying! Somebody's lying!
He said to his own court's clerk. This judge, it was obvious, was about to go berserk.
I have made a decision, young man, and here is what we shall do. If there is one person waiting out there who believes in you, then I will let you go. Just one, that's all. It can even be someone you know.
I immediately turned to all those people waiting, but not a single person raised their hand, and there was now no more debating.
Guilty.
Was his decision.
Guilty.
Is what he cried.
Your Honor, I tell you, this officer lied, and this is one fine I swear I'll never pay.
Oh, really? Thank you. Bailiff, take him away.
So they dragged me away to a windowless room, and I sat there for a couple of hours in the municipal gloom. Oh, I finally paid the fine. Believe me, I'm no dope. But they had to threaten me with a shower and a bar of prison soap. But that was then, and this was now, and deep inside I hoped to be different somehow. I mean, the court was still crowded and jammed just like before. I mean, there were so many people waiting that the line went out the door. And for some strange reason, they still got you there at 9. It was still hurry up and wait in order to defend your crime. Of course, the judge hadn't gotten there yet. There seemed to be some delay. And waiting there for him to arrive, I thought again about what I'd say. Yes, 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 Your Honor, I imagine myself saying,
I was doing 85, but I was trying to get away from a drunk. It was an attempt to stay alive. And that's what I told this officer standing here. I mean, the other guy was driving all over the road. Hey, I was speeding out of fear. I mean, it couldn't have been more obvious that the other guy was drunk. When this officer told him to get back to his car, the guy tried to climb in his trunk.
Guilty. Guilty.
is what I imagine that dream judge would say. I mean, they hadn't believed me years before. Why would they believe me today? But my thoughts were interrupted when the real judge strode through the door, and he seemed extremely upset by the enormously crowded floor. He sat at his desk and shuffled some papers, and then he angrily stroked his hair. His smug face wore a disgusted look, as though something had fouled the air. Another day of traffic court, it seemed he simply could not bear.
This is a disgrace. You people should be ashamed. You come here with every ridiculous excuse. You've all been unjustly blamed. And this is only one of 5 courts, and every court is full. If you do something wrong, if you get a ticket, you've got to pay the bill. Now, you think if you come here, you won't have to pay for what you've done. But others are paying for you. This court is expensive to run. The city can ill afford the expense and the waste of city time. If you get a ticket, for crying out loud, you've got to pay the fine. But this time, consider yourselves lucky, because I'm going to let you go. So drive more carefully in the future. And you speeders, take it slow.
Momentarily, we sat there in solemn disbelief, and then there was this joyous, audible sigh as we all got to our feet. Everyone wondered it seemed to be the first to hit the street when suddenly this woman stands up on a bench, rigid anger in her face.
You're right, Your Honor. This is a terrible, terrible disgrace.
The judge had still not left the room, though he had gotten to his feet. An assistant with a whispered message had prevented his retreat.
And you, sir, are the one who should be ashamed.
Some people tried to get her to stop, but she couldn't be contained.
How dare you assume we're here to save a little money, or that court time is more important than our own? Are you trying to be funny? I got a ticket I didn't deserve. I missed the morning's work. I'm upset. I'm angry. I want to kill the jerk who did this to me. And you, Your Honor, for a judge, should be the first to see.
A thin smile spread across the judge's lips, reminiscent of one James Cagney. I mean, the tilt of him, the way he stood and clutched his sides. It reached inside to grab me.
You would prefer that I hold this court. Well, that can be arranged.
And he told his bailiff to stop collecting the tickets. It seemed his mind was changed. Groans and moans of,
"Oh, no! She's crazy!"
That son of a bitch!
Could be heard throughout the crowd. But the woman still stood upon the bench, arms folded, head up, proud.
I will not have anyone question my decisions. I wanted to be fair. There is other work for this court to do, but you want to clear the air. And you probably think that everyone here feels exactly the same way. Well, let us see how many are willing to face the court and stay. Yes. We'll ask your peers what they want to do. And we'll hold this court, madam, if there's one person who agrees with you. Just one, that's all. And you'll be able to have your say. But if there isn't, consider yourself lucky and quietly go away.
Now what would you have done had you been standing there? No one seems to understand. But I had been there years before. Hey, I had to raise my hand.